First one I got, the Albert Rusnak is terrible agenda. Diminished.
It's gone.
4 assists in the last 3 games and 9 for the season. Like, I think the funny thing is that he's actually having a pretty good year.
Yeah.
Like, if you know, the underlying numbers might not be great. Someone posted them the other day, and they definitely, you know, he didn't look like Hani Mukhtar or anything. But when I think of the type of just pure output that you need from a number 10, well, first of all, I look at assists much more than goals, and Rusnak has 7 primary assists this season. Only 2 of them are secondary. He's really been cooking in these last 3 games. 4 of those assists have come in the last 3 games. So he's hot right now. But with the output that I think of ideally from a starting number 10 in MLS, like 15 plus, if you can get there. Albert Rusnak's career high is 14 that he set with Real Salt Lake. He is on pace to at least match that and potentially surpass that. And it's funny because if he ends up with, say, 15 to 18 assists, I think all of a sudden you're talking about a legitimate debate as to whether he's actually is worth the DP spot, or if he should still be a TAM, or if he should be a TAM player like we were talking about, which is funny because I think the conventional wisdom has become that he's not performing at a DP caliber level, and I do think there's an argument to be made for that, but it's at least a debate now. I mean, he's playing really well. He's getting on the stat sheet. He's impacting games. So I am still sympathetic to the notion that he might not be the best use of a DP spot, but it's something worth talking about at least, which I don't think that was necessarily the case in the last few weeks to most people's minds.
Yeah, I'm super sympathetic to the DP argument, mostly because his literal physical contract is only a couple $1,000s above the threshold to make him a DP. So when you look at the numbers in the terms of like value for your DP spot, it really doesn't make any sense that he's a DP. But that doesn't mean he's a bad player. And I think we've both said, like, he's going to have to play to show that he's worth a DP, but even more than that, he's just got to show that he's worth playing the 10 in general, because that's an important spot, and he's filling a large role. He's filling a role that we could probably go out and find someone to fill for a real DP spot.
Yeah, the question is, can and should you build an MLS attack around this guy?
Right.
And there's been very valid questions brought up about that by us included, about that this season. But I mean, if you're just looking at his form in the last few weeks, he does look like a DP number 10 to me. I'm not saying necessarily
he's 8th most assists in the league right now.
Yeah, I think 7th or 8th.
He's
yeah.
8th. He's 8th behind Jared Stroud, Denny Bwanga.
Jared Stroud,
who both have 7 assists. So they're tied for, I guess, I don't know, however you want to divvy it up.
And I guess back to the original point of, like, there is a very prominent and outspoken vocal minority anti-Rusnak. Rusnak is actively bad contingent, and I don't know, like the notion that he's this like terrible player. I just don't agree. Like I said, there's a lot of interesting questions to talk about regarding his status on the roster as a DP, or if it should be TAM, but he's definitely playing well these last few weeks. Obed Vargas, agenda strengthened.
Yeah, easily.
Notably strengthened. God, that pass was so good.
His whole game was so good, man.
His whole game the last, 2 months has been so good.
Yeah. Last match, his Houston match was really bad, but
it was not his best. It was not his best. But he was back cooking this game, and that is a big time assist. And we've talked about it a lot, but the thing that you want to see from these academy products as they break into the first team is making those impact plays, changing results of games. Obed is doing all that stuff. They don't win that Philly game unless he is playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
And he scored a great goal in that game. Like I said, up to 4 assists. And I don't know how many 18-year-olds can hit that pass that he hit to Jordan. That was pass of the week, in my opinion.
That was insane. That's like some FIFA shit. Like that was just like
that's why when you hit Y on FIFA.
Yeah, literally. Like it was like a magnet, dude. Like I sat there, I watched it in real time, and I literally had the best possible perspective. I was sitting kind of mid line in the stadium. I see him win the ball in his chest. I was like, oh, he sees this pass. He sees this pass. Chest it down one time. I'm like, oh my God, we are in the presence of a baller.
Yeah, and it's on the other side of it, it's been good to see Jordan making those runs and getting the service on those runs. You know, we saw in the St. Louis game, Russ him on one of those. It just feels like he's been making those kind of Jordan Morris type runs, and that was a vintage Jordan Morris goal. The header was one that was not a vintage Jordan Morris goal. That's one that you don't typically see him hit. The game winner was if you made a Jordan Morris goal in a lab of the type of run that he likes to make and what he can do when he gets out and running. I mean, that would be it right there. And Jordan Morris he's blazing hot right now. That what's that, 5 and 6?
Yeah.
And up to 7 for the season. But he's honestly, he's carrying the team right now in a lot of ways. I mean, we've talked a lot about this season, how goal-starved this team is and how, you know, Jordan Morris and Raul Ruidiaz were tasked with fixing that, and Jordan is carrying a huge load right now. And you know, you have to give Ruidiaz credit for his goal in this game too. Paul Rothrock agenda,
yes,
strengthened, and like you said, Noah, it's like he didn't get on the score sheet, but the energy that he brought,
he should have been on the score sheet.
And yeah, he got pretty close.
He was robbed. That was a handball, Ari.
I think it might have been. I didn't really see a great replay of it, but nonetheless, it was still a really good sequence of attacking play executed by Ruidiaz and Paul Rothrock. And if the guy doesn't block it, I don't know if it went off his hand or not, but that would have at least been on target, which, you know, that's one of the great things about Paul Rothrock that I just love about the guy is when he shoots the ball, oftentimes it goes on target, and sometimes it goes in the goal. So it was good to see him make a play, but like this was not about like the stat sheet. Okay. I don't think it's a coincidence, first of all, that this comeback basically all happened with Paul Rothrock on the field. But he also, did you see him pumping the crowd up again?
Yeah.
And that was when they were down 2-0.
Yeah.
And he was still bringing that energy. So just because he didn't score in this game, the agenda did not take a hit. And if anything, I think it's as strong as ever. It did not skyrocket as much as it did last week, but it's strengthened without a doubt.
Oh, easily. I think, one of the big things that he also brings is his talent to kind of like adjust to who he's playing with and his movement off the ball to allow people like Raul and Jordan to be in that space, but also like be selfish when he needs to be. I think of that goal that he got in Houston where he's like, sorry, Jordan, love you, King, but I'm just going to blow right past you and score this goal. I thought he did great to like open up space and pull defenders off Raul and Jordan both and really just like give them a headache. He's a true winger. He is a true winger. And for all of the great things that Leo Chu does bring, Paul, I'm going to just say it, has shown that he can make a bigger impact on the game.
He's outplayed him.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's dare to dream for a second about a world where Pedro de la Vega is healthy and playing. Just as a thought exercise, I'm not saying that it's especially likely to happen, but assuming that you do have Pedro de la Vega to put in the lineup, I think you're starting de la Vega over Paul Rothrock, but with Paul Rothrock as your first attacking super sub with that lineup, I kind of love that because like the impact he made as a sub in this game was huge. And, he played really well starting the previous game, but his skill set and the energy that he brings could be tailored pretty well to that super sub role. And I think you saw like the potential of him in that role in this game. And in a world where Seattle did have a full strength lineup, I love Paul Rothrock as a potential super sub.
Well, and the great part about him too is you could technically plug him in as a wing back too, right? So if you play with that 5 in the back style again, he's going to get back for you. He's going to get back. He's going to do the defensive effort. I don't know. I don't know, man.
And I mean, I think you're right that the reason he didn't start this game was minutes management.
Yeah.
Because he had been playing so much lately. But when all things being equal, I think this. I'm serious. I think this guy has to start right now. Like I think he's got to. And then when you get De La Vega back, then you can talk about how to line it up or whether he should be a sub or not. But I think right now you ride this hot hand without a doubt. Let's move on to the Moose agenda. Diminished, I think. He got the start in this game, like I said, as what I thought was sort of a second striker with Jordan. And I don't think he missed any sitters, but for the Moose agenda to be strengthened, he's got to score or at least get close to scoring. Like, honestly, his agenda might have gotten strengthened a little bit if he had missed a sitter, just because you want him having those opportunities.
Yeah.
But he didn't get on the score sheet in this game. And for a backup striker agenda, like, that's what you have to be doing to strengthen your agenda.
It's so tough, right? Like, he is really gunning for the A-Bear XG Merchant of the Year
parallels
award.
are uncanny.
Like, it's tough. It's like death taxes and a backup 9 that I just don't even understand how he's that bad. Like, respectfully, I mean, like, something happens when you become the backup 9 for the Sounders that I don't know. It should be tested in a lab, because he's not a bad player. Like,
it's been an admittedly small sample size, but he's been productive in MLS, and it is a lot like A-Bear, which is definitely unfortunate. Leo Chu, let's do the Leo Chu agenda. I was a Leo Chu apologist last week. I tried to give him credit for the great assist that he had, and just in general, I feel like he takes a little too much heat sometimes. He's had really good individual moments and really good individual games. There's games that they've won in large part because of Leo Chu, so I think it's fair to point that out as it pertains to my take. He had that 4-assist game last year. He had the Whitecaps game where he scored the brace, and they won that game because of him. So there have been good Leo Chu moments. I did not think this game was one of them. It's still kind of the same thing of when he's taking on a defender 1v1. His decision-making and execution is just not there consistently at all. And in this game, I don't think he eliminated or beat any defenders. And then, I mean, the thing that killed me was the substitution thing, where they're bringing on Paul Rothrock for Leo Chu. Leo Chu seems like he's not happy about getting subbed out, so he takes his sweet time getting off the field, right? And just, he looked pissed. But then the new rule is that if you take too long removing yourself from the field, then the player who's subbing on for you has to wait 2 minutes to come onto the field. So Seattle ended up playing down a man for 2 minutes,
which led to
a chance, right?
It led to a chance, and basically right when Paul Rothrock was able to step on the field and had to sprint over to his position, they scored.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. So the Leo Chu agenda, unfortunately, is diminished. I have to say that even after the credit that I gave him last week, but he didn't have a good game in this one. And then the sub thing was a debacle, and that just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that this team just isn't right for Leo Chu's skill set, or like that he's just not the prospect that people thought he was going to be. He's just not been good this season. Like, I don't think that
he was hurt for some of it.
Yeah, he's been hurt. Sure, I'll give him that. But I don't think that he has been a U22 signing. What is he making? Like $1 million a year? Like, you have Paul Rothrock outperforming you, and he gets a bagged lunch for his salary. Like, respectfully, like, I think that there's I don't know. Maybe it's the attitude. Maybe it's not. This is all. I feel like I'm an ESPN commentator now. It's his attitude. But like seriously, you have a guy like Paul Rothrock who's going out there who literally has like nothing to lose. Like he has to work his ass off to get in those games. Leo Chu is in a position where, yeah, he's been injured, but like it's assumed that if you want this team to do well, you play your high value players, and that's Leo Chu. Why is someone who is paid less and is working harder than you starting over you? Like I don't know. And then with all the transfer rumors, it's just I don't know. My head is in a spin about this one, but it's definitely diminished. It's not looking good right now, Ari, for Leo Chu.
Let's move on to the your JP is cooked agenda. I thought it was another tough week for that agenda. I might be cooked. I thought JP was great in this game, and I thought he was especially good early in the match. He almost scored 2 goals. He kind of had like a miniature version of the Beast Quake goal where he shredded through a few defenders and almost finished it to the far post, hit it just wide. And then he almost scored a really sick goal from way outside the penalty box that went off the post. He almost scored twice, which was nice. But I don't know. To me, the last 2 weeks, he looks notably back to the type of player that he was pre-ACL. And I said it on the show last week, but if he gets back to that type of form, that would be huge for this team because we all know what the peak version of JP looks like, and it's one of the best two-way players in the league. So if you add one of the best two-way players in the league to the mix, and God willing, at some point get De La Vega healthy, it could mean positive things. But he has to sustain it over a larger sample size, and De La Vega needs to get on the field. But those things are possible, and I think based on what we've seen from JP the last couple weeks, his arrow is pointing up, agenda strengthened.
Yeah, man. I am happy to admit defeat with this one. He has, honestly, it's ever since I watched one of the like post-match, I guess, or it was training, one of the training interviews with him, and he took full acceptance and said, like, this has been my worst season I've ever played in my life. And literally, I am not kidding, from that moment on, from him acknowledging that, it is turned around and he has been one of the best players on the field. I think that if you take away the goals and you're just going on pure performance for this game, I think he wins man of the match. Like for impact on the game. Dude, he had 90% passing on 100 passes. That's insane. That is the important connecting play that you need. He gave up a little bit of a howler it was a bad pass from Reagan. He could have done a little bit more to clean it up that led to that goal. But other than that, man, like he's been back. He's been back. Agenda is boiling.
Yeah, JP is cooking.